We recognize the consequences of our actions and we act accordingly, not to solve the problem. And that's where that problem predicament thing, I think, is. I don't think he articulates that as well as he could. But when I thought about it, I think it actually is very insightful, because what he says the distinction between a problem and a predicament is that a problem demands a solution, a predicament demands a resolution.
That's right.
And what does he mean by that? And I think that's part of the problem. It's like solution, like, what does that mean? I think what he means is we need to figure out what we need to resolve ourselves to do within this situation to make things better, not to solve the problem.
Because you can't solve a problem, because a predicament is a situation where there's competing ideas around the outcomes,
Right.
and the good.
Right.
And we're not going to get to where we can't all align on that.
Right.
So we have a predicament, which is what climate change is.
Right.
So we get there by finding something we can agree on.
Right. And understand the agreement to be through these networks of relationship, not through a system that defines it for everyone. That's the important of that. Remember that diversity and equity section that he has right toward the end, where he says we need to lean into these two values. And it was interesting, especially in this
where he talked about
kind
separation and
right. And basically he says we need to, like, one, lean into kind of doing what we can in our relationships to make them equitable, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And then the second part of that is diversity, which is actually about, in what the way he's articulating, recognizing that we have different goods, we have different outcomes, we're all seeking different things, and that's okay. And we may need to operate in a system where we're not all lining up and going in the same direction, but we're attending to our relationships as best they can. Understanding the way we attend to that is going to look very different. The way you attend to your relationship with your daughter is going to be very different than your relationship with me and your relationship with the mayor of Austin.
But the value of your value within a social network is going to be the strength of all of those,
right,
those relationships,
and how you can use those relationships to produce more good in the world.
More good in the world.